and girls, babies in your diapers. Welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius. Today, we are going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a very cool video to talk about, a book about a dragon, about Bold Scroll Report. We got a totally awesome guest, the one, the only, the amazing TShane Johnson. TShane is a motivational speaker and the best-selling author.
I'm extremely excited to be here with that intro.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Rock and roll.
No worries. Today, we're going to start off with the video game of the week, and this is going to be a scary one.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
And that's time for the video game of the week. Today's video game is Zombie Blitz. So this is a game on the Roblox platform. It was made by Pandemic. Because it is on Roblox, you are able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free. You may remember Pandemic because they also made Zombie Stories and Bounty Simulator. So before you ask, yes, I got my dad to try it and he was hooked. I got to stay up and we played all night long. You know what that means. So you start off with a selection asking if you want to play story mode or attack waves. I like the attack waves. Then you and a group of people get attacked by waves of zombies that are attempting to destroy a defense hub. If they destroy the hub, you are dead. After each wave, you can earn money based on how many zombies you stopped and if you got headshots. You can take that money and buy better guns and perks to your character. I like the reload perk the best because it lets you reload in less than a second. My dad likes the headshot perk because he can get double damage and money for headshots. The part about the game that I like the most is that it's like a first-person shooter game. In Roblox, there are not that many games that are first-person shooter types. I also like being able to do basic grades and getting better weapons. I give Zombie Blitz 10 out of 10 stars because it is so much fun to get wave and wave attacks and still be able to survive. And if you want to get swarmed over and over again and still fight to keep alive, then you would love this game.
I love shooting zombies. This is great. Zombies are awesome. My daughter and I talk about it all the time, but she calls them zombies instead of zombies. We're still working on it.
Promise me, then she should play this game. See, David Smith, law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org. And now it's time for the book of the week, DragonBreath. This book is written by Ursula Vernon. Leverage is the back of the book. In fact, TShane, would you want to do the honors?
Absolutely.
La, 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 la.
All right, let's check this out. So, Danny DragonBreath is not the best student in school. He can't breathe fire on command, but if you ever find yourself caught in the tentacles of a giant squid at the bottom of the ocean, he is just the dragon to have in your corner.
So first off, this is an AI book worth 2 points. Wow, that is a lot of points. It is at a 4th grade 3rd month reading level. The story is about a dragon named Danny. He cannot breathe fire or fly. He is not a Komodo dragon, but instead he is a real dragon. So in this book, Danny got a bad grade on his report about the ocean, so he decided to go with his friend to research the ocean himself. He was also getting bullied by a guy at school. His friend is named Wendell the iguana, and they visited Edward the snake, which is Danny's cousin. Edward lives in the ocean. In the ocean, he was attacked by a shark and a squid. but he had made friends with a whale and some fish that had razor-sharp teeth. Afterwards, they got to dry land, and Danny rewrote his report about the ocean. He turned it into the teacher, and it was great, and he got a, well, I think you should read the rest to figure that out. I give DragonBreath 10 out of 10 stars because it is a cool story, and I really enjoyed how Danny described the ocean and the life inside the ocean. I read the book in 2 days and suggest it for any kid in 3rd or 4th grade, especially if you like dragons.
This sounds like an amazing book. I like dragons. We hunt dragons. Dragon slayers. I'll give it a read. I can make it since I'm past 4th or 5th grade.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our awesome sponsors, SlutChannelUS.com. These guys are very, very cool. They bring 21st century surface drainage solutions to reality. They can do corporate and government work. These are the guys that make roads and bridges safe in the rain. You can see all about them at SlutChannelUS.com. That website again is SlutChannelUS.com. The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom Braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering, to trophies and awards. They can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373. And now it's time for an interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing TShane Johnson. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
I love it. It's awesome. Great energy. We've already know the best video game and the best book of the week. I'm ready to go.
Okay. So to jump right in, I see your real name is Shane. Why did you change it to TShane?
Well, before the thought process of becoming a motivational speaker, I thought I was going to be a rapper. And so I just kind of rolled with it and then figured it'd probably be a better speaker than I would a rapper. So I just went with TShane, like T-Pain.
That's so cool.
Well, the real reason behind it is because Timothy is my first name. So Shane was named after a very famous movie that Alan Ladd starred in when I was a kid. Or, well, actually when I was born. And my grandmother said, hey, I'd like to name you after that movie. And later on, as I was starting to develop my motivational speaking background, we kind of combined it with T and TShane. It sounded good, and that's really the story. Nothing too crazy.
So I read your bio, and it had a lot of stuff in it. Can you tell my listeners about how you survived a gang attack?
Yeah, really, it's surviving a gang attack, I think, probably was more of just being fortunate enough to be in the Marine Corps. So learning to overcome adversity was something, and pain, I think, that was helped develop throughout that training. So after I got hit with a house at 45 miles an hour, I think I just kind of kept on trucking, holding my arm and making sure that all my injuries didn't affect me too much, and ended up dying 3 times and going through crazy experience, and here I am today.
What? Did you just say dying 3 times?
I did. Technically, I died flatlined out 3 times. Yeah.
Ouch.
So zombies, come on, bring it.
So how did you go from that to a motivational speaker?
Motivational speaking didn't come until later on in life. I was actually in banking, mortgage banking. And throughout all that time in my life, I did a lot of speaking to a lot of groups and a lot of people and connected with a lot of people. And then motivational speaking just kind of came to me later on. Just something that just kind of happened. I felt that I was able to connect with people and make an impact. And then I retired from banking, said I'm done with it one day, and just went full on motivational speaking.
So I see you have started a number of businesses. I'm trying to start my first one, this radio show. How do you decide which business ideas are worth starting and which one to leave in my head?
Oh, that's actually a really great question. I think when it comes to business, you have to first start with something that you love and you're passionate about, because it's going to suck. There's going to be a lot of times where you're going to fail and you're going to run into a lot of problems and days that you don't like it. And if you're doing something that you love, it definitely makes it a little easier. Not impossible, but it's definitely a lot easier.
How do you decide to go from a motivational speaker to an author?
They're kind of one and the same, believe it or not. I think you're just taking one where your words are out of your mouth, and then you're taking the stuff that's in your mind and putting it down on paper. They just kind of go hand in hand. I mean, I think not everybody gets the opportunity to hear what I have to say via voice, so we write it down in a book and share our message that way.
Huh? So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always know you were going to be a motivational speaker?
I didn't. I wanted to be a Marine.
Really?
So I actually had no intentions whatsoever to be a motivational speaker. So when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a Marine, serve the country.
So right now we have TShane's daughter, and here in I'm going to ask her a question, and her name is Charlie. So Charlie, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A police officer.
Wow, it's going to be good. If you want to be a police officer, that's a good job to do. So my dad said you are going to run from Ground Zero to Orlando with 100 pounds on your back on 9/11, TShane. So for the listeners that don't know, what is Ground Zero and 9/11?
Yeah, again, another great question. You know, Ground Zero is a very significant place that defines our country and what we're actually capable of. So during a very horrible time in 2001, obviously we had terrorist attacks against America. I think, there's a couple different ways to describe it, but I think more importantly, considering that I was just there, it is a perfect example of what this country stands for and what America stands for. That when we go through extreme pain or turmoil, that no matter what, we're able to set our differences aside and remember people who are willing to sacrifice any and everything for our country. So it really is, I think, more about significance of who we are as a country. Sometimes we have to endure a tremendous amount of pain to make us, all remember who we are and what we stand for, and that we do it together, not divided.
So I see that you were going to get to visit the White House. Are you going to meet the president?
Oh, we don't know yet. That's still kind of up in the air. We're definitely getting a great tour, and we've had a phenomenal team putting this together, and so we're still pending that opportunity. It seems like that may happen, but we don't know yet. Can't either confirm or deny.
So there's two places that the president can be: in Trump Tower or the White House. So we don't know which ones it's going to be. And when you go to the White House, are you going to go bowl?
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
I know, right?
Right. I'm a good bowler. It'd be great.
Because literally, I would necessarily want to bowl with the President of the United States. So that hike is really going to take a long time. Why are you doing it?
Well, it's kind of a combination of a couple of things. I mean, it's a speaking tour that incorporates a hike, that emphasizes on leadership. I mean, the actual hike itself, the physical side of it is I'm doing it because I want to show people that there's two ways to lead. There's lead to follow and lead to lead. So doing the hike gets people aware that, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice and put my body through all of this in order for people to pay attention so that I can hopefully deliver a great message. But as far as on a piece of paper, I'm doing it to support the veteran community, to support the country, to let people be aware of that leadership is something that we need to grasp a hold a little harder, and that we do it from, leading from the front and not from the back. So if I'm going to say it, I might as well do it too. So that's why we're doing it.
So what was the first job you ever had?
The first recorded job, or the first job I had. So my dad, I was very fortunate, was, he used to work the fire out of me. So growing up, so probably working cows is probably the first job I really ever had. So he used to ride a lot of horses and work a lot of cows. I actually didn't get a horse. They made me run around all over the place, which is kind of ironic considering I still do that. But I didn't earn my stripes to have a horse. So we used to chase after the cows on foot.
That would be funny. So was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to be a better motivational speaker?
Yeah, it made for some really great stories. I think a motivational speaker is more of a technical term for a storyteller. You really have these stories that you could tell and these experiences that I had growing up as a kid working cows that I can tell. And then later on it helps relate to things in life. So absolutely.
Okay. So if my listeners wanted to go to be a motivational speaker, what advice would you give them?
That's a funny question, because I always thought you had to have this huge accomplishment in life in order to be a speaker, that you had to go through all of these things. I think the best thing about being a speaker is being a great listener. So if you want to be a great speaker, you want to be a great listener. You want to listen to people, connect with people, hear what they actually have to say, and then be able to communicate to them in a way that they understand it and tell a great story.
So all over your bio, it says Rotarian. Like that, and it says it has to do with Rotary. What is Rotary, and why is it important to you?
Rotary is a phenomenal organization that's been around for quite some time. I think that probably the key component is that it really takes what is traditional values of leadership and understanding that, we should give back to our community and work within our community. And Rotary stands for service before self, and that's really the key thing about that I've picked up from it from my perspective. I guess everybody has a different view, but for me, it's service before self. It's a group of people in the community that get together and understand how to really have that service before self type platform.
Mm-hmm. What was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
I make a lot of mistakes, so I think that's what makes you who you are, is to make mistakes. Mistakes is a term that we use in a negative connotation when in fact it actually should be a good one. But as far as the biggest mistake is concerned, is probably in 2008 when I lost my mortgage business and I was going through all the tough times. I didn't understand how to diversify my business. I just made it like one platform versus doing a whole bunch of platforms, and I ended up putting all my eggs in one basket. It's probably a good way to say it.
When you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Spend time with my daughter, with Charlie Bear. We do a lot of fun things in my family. Obviously, that's. I mean, I'm lucky. What people consider work is for fun. So every day I get to spend time with her and get to travel around and connect with people. So I think it's kind of one and the same for me.
Games, put your favorite one.
So what if I told you that I actually have a video game that was named after one of my companies? What if I told you that? So probably like 2 years ago, so I owned a mortgage company, Booyah Mortgage, and a production company, Booyah Productions. And we sponsored a car in NASCAR. And what had ended up happening is we found out about 6 months later that NASCAR Heat 2 picked up our car and made it one of the primary cars that you could race in the video game that got distributed out on Xbox and PlayStation. So you can actually go to the store or go online now and buy NASCAR Heat 2, and you'll see Booyah Car in there, Booyah Production, Booyah Car logo on it. So I'd have to say that's probably my favorite.
What? What's the name of it, though?
NASCAR Heat 2.
That's good. Can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. But that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Yeah, the most embarrassing thing I've ever had happen to me in my life, I actually put it in my first book. So I grew up in the middle of a very small town. So I grew up in Arcadia, but I actually lived in a place called Gardner where there was probably 3 homes in the whole area. And there used to be a lot of people that would drive up and down the road all the time to go to this river that we lived on. And they were, drinking a lot, partying a lot, having a good time, driving up and down. And one day this guy comes running through the road. He ends up jumping and falling into the ditch with his car and causing a big scene. And I remember, he yelled out something, yelled some bad words out to my stepmom. And so I went and said, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. I was a younger guy. I thought I was gonna tell him what for. And I ended up going out to the end of my road. I'm yelling at him. He slams on his brakes. Lights come on. He opens up the door. It takes him about 10 minutes to get out. He's fighting and fiddling. I thought maybe he was going to get a gun or something. I started to get a little worried. And as the door came out, he threw a wheelchair out the door. And I was like, oh, man. And he got out and he didn't have any legs. And he gets in the wheelchair and he starts coming at me. Well, here in Florida, we've got sugar sand, where a lot of grove sand. So it takes a really long time to walk or move in it. So it probably took this guy a good solid 10 minutes to literally get about 50 yards in a wheelchair with no legs as I was just standing there. But I didn't want to treat him any different. I've got a blind brother, so I grew up in the way, didn't want to treat him any different. He still was disrespectful to my mom, so I was going to stand my ground. And this poor guy, he gets all the way up to me, and I just thought to myself, I'm going to end up fighting a guy with no legs in a wheelchair, and that's going to be a horrible situation. So he gets all the way up to me, and he says, he's yelling at me, and I said, man, you called my mom a bad name, and for the sake of it being a kid's show, I won't reference it. And he says, no, I hit a ditch. And I said, oh, thought you might call my mom something else. And he starts laughing. He goes, no. So he ended up looking at me, and I said, well, I was going to beat you up. And he goes, yeah, I probably would have beat me up too. Funny thing is, he actually was a Vietnam vet. He told me the story and told him about me going to the Marine Corps, and it was great. We ended up being friends. But definitely the most embarrassing moment of my life was when I almost fought a guy with no legs.
Wow. website or Facebook for my listeners that want to follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. HikeAcrossAmerica.com.
I might go onto that website.
You should check it out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a Facebook?
I do. So as far as Facebook's concerned, or any social media handle, it's either at TShane Johnson or Hike Across America 2019.
Okay, I will go onto Facebook and add you.
I'd be honored. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, TShane, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Yes, sir. I sure can. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
No worries. Mid-State Fire has been providing top-quality fire equipment services for 3 generations to the Central Florida area. Don't wait for an emergency to repair. Call Mid-State Fire today at 407-246-8855. Get your fire extinguishers and emergency lighting for both your home and businesses by visiting www.midstatefire.com. That number again is 407-246-8855. The Tiberius Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com. Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Get ready, it's time for the Bowling Score Report.
So I did not get to go bowling this week because I got to go to the Meet the Teacher event at the Christ School. It was so much fun to meet my new homeroom teacher, and then my math teacher, and then my enrichment teacher. After that, I talked to my art teacher and I saw all the new improvements that they had made to the school. This was going to be an awesome new year. I'm looking forward to the new Fall League Bowling. So, if you want to go bowling with me, be sure to join me in the new Fall League at Boardwalk Bowling Saturdays at 10 in the morning, bro.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners.
Thank you, TShane, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about stem and leaf plots. So I've been doing my ISO.com math questions over the summer, and I got to a section called stem leaf. I've never seen this before, and my mom did not believe it was a real thing. Even my math expert dad had never heard of stem leaf, so it was cool that we got to learn it together. So a quick Google search to find stem leaf as a special table where data value is split into a stem first digit or digits of a number, and the leaf is usually the last digit of the number. Now this is very useful for storing large amounts of data. So let's say we have a list of students ranging in ages from 8 to 23. You would have to have a stem for each of the possible tens place digits. That would be 0, 1, and 2. You would write that down in order in the stem column. Depending on the number of students, you would then list off each on a chart. But now you only have to list the ones digit in the leaf column. So if there are 3 students under 10, then you would have to list 3 numbers horizontally in the chart, like 8, 8, and 9. Let's assume there are 5 children older than 9 and less than 20. They fall under the 1 stem because the tens digit is 1. And you can list those 5 like 1, 3, 3, and 6, and 6. Finally, you have 2 more students that are over 19 and you can list them as 2 and 3. Now when you look at the chart, you can refer to the stem and to see the tens digit and look at the leaf to not only see the ones digit for the value, but quickly see how many students fit in that category. You can now use the leaf area to answer all sorts of word problems like how many students are there in all, and for that, you just count all the leaves. Or how many students under 20. You can count the leaves with the stem of 0 and 1. Now this is a very fast way to answer hard questions with lots of data points. So TShane, do you know all about how to make a stem of a leaf plot?
I do now, thanks to you. I'll be able to plan my hike accordingly. Not really sure how I'll be able to apply it, but I just know for a fact that I'll at least complete 22 miles a day with over 1,100 miles carrying 100 pounds a day.
I would necessarily go with you. Wow.
And how much do you weigh?
I weigh like 55.
Okay, so I have to carry two of you every day for 1,100 miles for 65 days.
What?
Two of you.
I don't have to do the walking or anything?
Yeah, I just carry you.
I have to walk it.
No, I'll just carry you.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to lose a little weight, but I think we'll be good.
Okay. Thank you so much, TShane, for your help with math.
My pleasure, buddy. Thank you so much.
And now it's time for Heart of a Lion. We, the Tiberius Show, like living with the heart of a lion. Living with the heart of a lion stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility.
Now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, I talk about the qualities of living by a heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. So I pick leadership because you are a motivational speaker, which is a leader by being a positive influence on others. This week I was at Meet the Teacher event at my school, and I found a student from a lower grade that was going to be in enrichment with me. I showed her around the classroom and where everything was. Later, when a parent that was new to school was lost and could not find where the 5th grade classes were, I directed and then showed her where her son will be going to class so she can meet his teacher. Both of these were examples of providing guidance and direction. So TShane, do you just use or use leadership at all this week?
Yeah, I actually see it and use it almost every day of my life. I think when you're a father, you're always being a leader. You're giving everything without any kind of praise or anything whatsoever. You're just doing it because you're supposed to do it without the credit and passing it on to your little one. So yeah, every single day I actually do it with my daughter.
So just like my dad?
Just like it, yeah.
Okay. Of all the Heart of the Lion virtues, which is your favorite?
Well, just what we talked about, leadership.
Okay then. You should always try and be lion strong in everything we do. And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing TShane Johnson for being my special guest this week. It's been so much fun talking with you today. And I hope I can do another interview after you finish your hike across America.
Well, it's been a complete honor of mine to have the opportunity to be on your amazing show, Tiberius. It's really exciting. I will tell you, as a young man doing what you're doing, it's extremely inspirational, and it's definitely makes you feel like there is some type of hope left in this world today to see what you're doing. So I want to thank you for what you do every day and being a leader to the younger generation. So it's super awesome. I hope that you can follow along with what I'm doing this year when it comes to the hike. So I'm going to be leaving on September 11th all the way up until December 14th in total. So I'll cover 1,100 miles, 22 miles a day, carry 100 pounds, speak to over 100,000 people, and hopefully inspire leadership within the communities. If any of you want to follow along, you can go to my website, hikeacrossamerica.com, TShaneInspires.com, and on every social media channel that we have at TShane Johnson. You can follow us the whole way. Just so you know, we're doing all this and everything that we're doing to raise over $1 million for the Gary Sinise Foundation for the RISE program to help severely wounded veterans have a home.
Whoa.
And that's it, my man.
So cool. And be sure to do this with us next week on the Tiberius Show. Just Tiberius!
The Tiberius Show is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Executive producer, Joseph Boyd. Production editor, Pierre Laguerre. Green Room manager, Danny Boyd. Broadcast associate, James Smith. And your program host, Tiberius Jazz Boy. The Tiberius Show is copyright 2018.